Andy Shallal is an Iraqi-American artist, activist, and entrepreneur, and a recent candidate, and ought to have been winner for mayor of Washington, D.C., and the proprietor of Busboys and Poets, which makes him our host. Andy Shallal.
Thank you so much for being here. When David called me about doing this event, I thought it'd be an important event to do, and particularly in honor of those who died in Nagasaki on August 9th, 1945. So this is a very fitting time to be able to talk about ending war permanently. I had the chance to spend some time in Bosnia. And I remember being in Sarajevo at a middle school, and there were a whole bunch of kids that were studying history and other things in the school. And half of the kids, almost all the kids have lost a loved one during the war. And half of the kids there had lost their loved one at the hands of the other half's parents. So it was a very complicated space for these kids to be in. And they were learning to coexist and learn how to be human again. It was remarkable to see their ability to transcend the hatred and the anger and the violence that they had been put through, and be able to play together as friends and as colleagues. And I kind of looked at that and saw how easy it is for human beings sometimes to go from one side to the other, and how none of us in this room are immune to some of the horrors that we oftentimes see on television, or in wars that we hear about and read about. And it's fascinating, because I think the minute we think that the other is evil, I think that really takes us away from the fact that we're all human, intellect to one another, and we're all capable of amazing, wonderful, positive things, but we also are capable of doing horrific things. I think we have to really recognize that in order for us to be able to move forward. I also had the chance to listen one time to Jody Williams, who is the Nobel Peace Laureate. She won the Nobel Peace Prize for her work on landmines, and she had been working for many, many years to put an end to landmines. And I remember speaking to her, this was maybe 5 years ago or so. I remember speaking to her, and she was talking about they were very close to a victory, to be able to ban landmines forever. And I said, well, the victory is really not a victory. They ban landmines because they don't need them anymore. They have other tools to use. And so we keep going from one shiny object to another. So it's 1 year it's landmines, the next year it's drones, the third year it's a different kind of weapon. And every time we go in one direction trying to ban a certain weapon or a certain methodology of war, somebody comes up with something different, something new. And suddenly we're chasing that shiny object after that. So I'm thrilled to see that this is sort of getting to the heart of the issue, which is war is bad, war is horrible, war kills people. And I've always been perplexed by the idea of rules of war. I know that's a very strange thing when you have like rules of war. So the rules of war, who sets the rules, and how are the rules are made depend on the kind of weapons that you devise, right? So, you know, more advanced weaponry and countries that have advanced weapons set the rules. And those bombs are no different. When you've got your leg cut off and you've got a child that's been hit by shrapnel or a bomb that's just blown you away, the rules are not so important to you. And I find it fascinating that we can stand on this side, be able to watch war from a distance, and create this kind of paradigm that war actually can be fought well, or can be fought fairly. Just as David so eloquently put it earlier, there's no such thing as a good war. There's no such thing as a war that doesn't hurt or harm living things. For us to really call ourselves a civilized society, we have to put an end to that. I know that oftentimes we think of the death penalty as a way that we can put an end to violence of one human to another. And just like David said, you can't end the death penalty by creating, you can't end people killing other people by putting up a death penalty. It just doesn't make any sense. We bought into it, the media has bought into it, we've all complacent and complicit in this process. And I would love to be able to see this kind of movement move forward and really try to take hold, because I do believe that it is possible, it is really possible to have a world that does not have the need to be able to have people killing each other and blowing up each other. I come from a part of the world where we've seen way too much carnage, we've seen way too much hatred, we've seen way too much killing. And after a while you become very kind of accepting of it. And I talked to my aunt not very long ago, and they're just dealing with it. My family's from Baghdad, and they're dealing with the current situation. They keep dealing with it. And somebody said, the people of Iraq are so resilient. And it made me cringe when somebody says that human beings can be resilient. I think resilience is overrated. Resilience is really for some things that for whatever reason they have to be resilient. And as human beings, we have to stop accepting that it's good to be resilient. It is not good to be resilient. We don't need to be resilient. We are not cockroaches or rats. Rats are resilient. Cockroaches are resilient. Human beings should not have to be resilient. And if we have to keep referring to human beings as being resilient, I don't think we've achieved our goal to put an end to violence and war against all living things. So I appreciate this gathering. I appreciate all of you being here. I'm sorry I have to leave a little early, but thank you so much for being here. Thank you for keeping the light on. And honestly, all of these events and all these programs are really not about the people that have perished and the people that have suffered. It's about us. It's about us reaffirming our belief that we are human, that we care about one another, that we are connected through each other by history and by culture and by other things that make us come together as a unit. So every time there's an event like this, it recharges my batteries, and I hope it recharges yours, because we have to continue this struggle, we have to continue this fight. And soon we will definitely have a war, well, we'll definitely have a war too, but we'll definitely have a world without war if we continue to fight hard enough to make sure that happens. But until we all commit to that possibility of having a world without war, we cannot say that we're done, because we won't be done until we continue struggling and ending it. So thank you all for being here.
It's just so convenient when one of the best voices for what we're advocating owns the space where we're able to organize and talk about it. Andy has been terrific on this issue for years.